All right, it's Monday, October 25th. I'm your host, Joe Gregory, and this is the Average Joe MMA Show. Man, we had a great weekend of MMA. It was awesome. I had fun myself, got to hang out with some friends, but let's talk about MMA. So we got UFC Vegas 41, Costa versus Vettori. I got to say, I don't know what the hell's going on with Paulo Costa. Something's up with him. He struggles getting down to 185, and honestly, I don't know that he should ever fight there again. He's a huge dude. They might as well just stick it at 205, just like he fought this last weekend. So the story goes, he can't make 185 pounds. So he's like, "Hey, Vettori, would you like to fight at a catch weight?" He's like, "Sure, I'll meet you at 195." So they decide to do that. They sign contracts. Then a couple of days later, Costa's like, "You know what? I'm not going to be able to make 195. I'm going to have to fight at 205. So Vettori, being the fighter and the savage that he is like, "Sure, let's go ahead and do it. I'll kick your ass at any weight. It doesn't matter to me." So they decided to fight at light heavyweight, so 205. And the thing is Costa, he's been cutting weight here and there, it seems like, but he's a bigger guy. Vettori decided to stop cutting weight. He was already on his way to 185. So I imagine that Costa, because he didn't have to cut all that weight initially, was probably the bigger man going into the cage that night. And the thing is even being the bigger man, he got beat. I will say Vettori has the chin of a god, apparently, because he took one of the high kicks right to the face and acted like nothing happened. So Vettori ended up going out and winning via unanimous decision. After the fight, Costa, in traditional Costa fashion, comes up with an excuse. This time it wasn't too much red wine like his excuses have been previously. Instead, he said he had a torn bicep muscle, which, understandable. That's something that if you do that during training, I can understand how that can limit your training camp. But does it limit you cutting weight? That's where I think he kind of fucked up a little bit, to be honest, because you can still cut weight. You can still run. You can still sit in the sauna, sit in the hot tub. You can still sweat it out. You just didn't want to, dude. You're a big guy. I saw pictures of you at 185. Your face is sunken in. This one, you looked healthy. You actually looked really good. As far as from a body perspective, the 205 did you well. I think that you should fight there from now on. And honestly, it sounds like Dana's going to force you to do it. Dana said you're no longer fighting at 185. You need to fight at 205. You've missed weight too many times. You just haven't been able to cut it. And I literally mean cut it. You haven't been able to cut the weight. So just stick to 205, go out there and beast out. You're going to be stronger. You're going to be fast. You're going to be faster. You're going to be healthier because you're not going to have sucked all that weight out of you. In the co-main event, it was Grant Dawson versus Rick Glenn. This was a fun fight. Very, very technical. So technical that it ended up being a draw. So wasn't crazy exciting, just a very technical fight. Two fighters that honestly are really skilled and a little tentative. So that's kind of what kind of met their demise. But then you had Bellator also had a card this weekend. It was I think it was 269. In this one, Fedor scores a thunderous first round knockout over Tim Johnson. There's one thing that's really weird about Fedor Emelianenko is the dude's either really good or he's really bad. Now, I will say throughout his career, he's been mostly really good, going out there and just murking dudes, knocking them out left and right, and doing a really, really good job. But he's a little older. His chin's not what it once was, and he's gotten clipped a few times. It's good to see him back on in the win column. We're going to see if he keeps doing that. It looked like vintage Fedor going out there, just letting his hands go and knocking that dude out in the first round. We'll definitely watch that KO here later in the show. But yeah, man, it was an exciting week of fights. Really enjoyed it. You really can't go wrong when UFC is on TV. So, but let's go ahead and get into some news stories. We'll go ahead and get into some MMA news here. So round one, I got to talk about this beef that's been going on in, I would say, the MMA journalists world. So we had Ariel Helwani, the Golden Nose, Helwani, as he likes to call himself, versus Big Brown, Brendan Shaub. And basically what's happened here, if you don't know the background, is Brendan Shaub basically was talking shit one day on he does some sort of fight companion where him and some friends kind of talk about fucking nothing, dicks and assholes while they watch fights. And he basically was like, hey, I'm not going to be at this fight. I think it was one of the Paul brothers. I think Jake Paul was fighting maybe Tyron Woodley. And he's like, I'm not going to be there. They didn't ask me to. That's why Ariel's there. Basically gave a little nudge to say that the only reason why Ariel's there is because I'm not. I don't know that I agree with that. Maybe they just chose Ariel for this in particular one. I'm not sure. But Ariel didn't like it, but he kind of brushed it off. And then Brendan was reading an article from the Bloody Elbow on his show, Below the Belt, and he went ham. Basically, the article said that Joe Rogan probably shouldn't be in a commentator anymore. Joe, I think he missed the last couple of pay-per-views. One for, he went on tour with his comedy, went on a comedy tour, had a date that conflicted, and he chose the comedy over it. Honestly, he makes a lot more money doing that, especially when he's selling out arenas with Dave Chappelle. And then the other one, he wanted to go hunting. He had a hunting trip planned. So because of those two things, he hasn't been on the broadcast the last couple of pay-per-views, and it sounds like people are enjoying not having him on there. Brendan Shaub, Joe Rogan, they're friends, so Brendan had his boys back. But in not only having his boys back and saying that he's one of the best in the biz, he went ham and was talking shit about journalists, saying the only reason why they're out there is to get clickbait. Unless you fought, you really shouldn't even cover MMA, essentially is what he said. Ariel took heart to that, and he did the same thing that Brendan did, and he backed up his boys. He said, F Brendan, F his whole team. I'm going to back up my guys as journalists. And, Ariel, I appreciate that, man. Appreciate you backing us up here and giving us the nudge, because honestly, that's what you do. You're a journalist. You cover MMA and you do a really good job. And I got to look at it as, if you look at it as a fight, they went back and forth a couple of times talking about each other on each other's show. And I got to be honest, Ariel whipped his ass. He got him hard. Talking about him failing as a MMA fighter, failing as a football player. His first stand-up stand-up special getting terrible reviews, just dogging him out hard. And only thing that Brendan could say is, you got fired from ESPN, which I really don't know that that's true. Ariel does come out and say he got fired from Fox, says his contract expired with ESPN and he didn't feel like renewing another contract because they tried to lowball him. So I think it's fun. I think it's really entertaining watching these guys go back and forth. I hope they keep doing it. Didn't see anything this week. We'll see if it happens, but it's really, really entertaining. And honestly, Brendan doesn't have too much to say because Ariel is the best in the biz. He really is. Really, really good at what he does. And I just like him to kind of keep it up because he does a really good job. But that's enough of those guys. Let's go ahead and move on to round two. So in round two here, we're going to talk about the issues that we have right now with domestic violence and UFC fighters. So recently, the UFC released Luis Pena, the violent Bob Ross. Apparently, he had some domestic violence charge against him, and they just decided to let him go. Now, the big question is, okay, I understand letting him go, but why? Why him and why not others? You sign a guy that is brand new, has a couple of fights under his belt. Actually, I think he had one professional fight before he came on the Contender Series, and I think he had one or two fights there. Maybe I'm talking about Greg Hardy. And with Greg Hardy, he previously, when he was in the NFL, he got convicted of domestic violence, and the Carolina Panthers let him go. And then I guess he appealed it or something, and then the case ended up getting dropped. I'm not saying he paid the girl off, but I'm not saying he didn't. I just know the case got dropped. But he was originally convicted, which means he did. He got in trouble for domestic violence, for hitting a woman. And what they're doing is they're allowing him to fight in the UFC, get trained by professionals, professional training camp to fight better. Now, I'm not saying this is what it is, but it sounds like he's getting trained to just be able to beat women even better than he does now. And I think that's, in my opinion, I think it's bullshit. I don't think you should be able to fight. And that moves me on to Jon Jones. Jon Jones recently just got in trouble in Las Vegas after receiving his fight with Gustafsson, got inducted to the Hall of Fame, and he gets in trouble for the same thing. This is alleged. I don't think he got convicted because his wife didn't want to. But when his wife comes down with their kids and she's got a bloody lip and a messed up eye, like, it makes you think that he probably punched her. So, and then you see the kids crying and stuff. I mean, apparently they're all good now, but this isn't the first time that John's gone kind of crazy and done some kind of dumb shit. The thing that I don't like with Dana and the UFC is that they look at people and they say, are these guys going to make me money? Well, then who cares what they do outside of the cage? Who cares what Jon Jones does? Who cares what Greg Hardy does? They draw fans, and we just want money. And that's all we care about. We just want money. Luis Pena, I like the guy as far as a fighter goes. Sounds like a big piece of shit if he really did fight, if he really did hit his wife, but I don't know if that's true or not. I think that's just alleged. But either way, I don't condone domestic violence, and I say that if you're gonna hit a woman, you need to be in jail. You don't need to be fighting in the UFC at all. So I think Jon Jones should get released. I think Greg Hardy should get released. And like I said, they already released Pena, but they're not doing so because they make money off those other guys. So that's all. They care more about their money than they do their values. And I think that's bullshit, Dana. That's bullshit. Fuck those guys. Let's move on to round 3. So round 3, the state of Colorado just implemented open scoring. So open scoring is basically, it's where after each round you know who won. Now I don't know if they're going to do what they've done in, I think Kansas implemented it first, where they're going to show the corner and let the corner decide if they're going to let the fighters know. But the real question is this a good idea or is it a bad idea? I don't think it's a bad idea if you're going to show the corner. I think it's a bad idea if you're going to show the fighter. The only reason is, so a lot of people say, if we're going to play devil's advocate here, we can say, well, if a fighter knows they're down 2, if they know they're down 2 rounds, they're going to go out there and they're going to go balls out in that 3rd round and try to get the finish. And that might very well be the case. It also might go, hey, I'm up 2 rounds, so now I don't need to try in this 3rd round. I need to run around and not engage and just coast. It also may lead to a lot more corners throwing in the flag, saying, hey, we're down 2-1. Yeah, there's a puncher's chance, but the puncher's chance is low. Let's go ahead and throw in the towel and not even fight that 3rd round. So there's ups and downs to it. I do agree it's kind of weird that you can see in basically every other sport out there, hockey, soccer, baseball, basketball, football, whatever it is. I don't care if it's fucking badminton. You're going to know what your score is as you're playing the game. Fighting, boxing, MMA, those are the types of things where you don't really know what the score is until the game's over, till the fight's done. So I do understand how it can be kind of disheartening for a fighter. A part of me says it's great because you will get guys that go out there and, like I said, they'll just go balls to the wall for that last 5 minutes because they know that they're down. You'll get guys that try harder in championship fights. Oh, we're down 2 rounds. Let's go out here and beast it out because we're already down on the scorecard. Now, granted, you do have coaches that tell their fighters, dude, you're down. You got to go out here and do something. But that's a guess. You don't really know. If you know definitively, is that going to make you want to work harder because you know you're down? Or is that going to make you want to give up because you feel like you've already been beaten? So I think it's a good idea to try it out. Give a state the opportunity. Let them see how it goes. If it goes well, implement it throughout the entire organization. But you got to have somebody be a guinea pig. The UFC is not going to do it. That's definitely not going to happen. It'll start with the smaller leagues like LFA. You'll get the Invicta, things like that. We'll probably try it out first before it gets to like Bellator or the UFC. I don't even think the PFL would try it out. I think those top 3 dogs are going to wait and see, kind of let the little guys be the guinea pigs first. But I think it's a good idea. Let some guinea pigs go in, check it out, and just kind of see how it goes from there. But, man, let's go ahead and get into the KOs of the week. So I mentioned earlier at this weekend at Bellator 269, Fedor Emelianenko goes in and he knocks out Tim Johnson in the first round. So we got to look at this KO. We got to watch this dude throw these hammers and let Fedor do what Fedor does. Fedor gets his 40th professional win. So runs in there, and honestly, it's the beginning of the first round. Throws 1, 2, hits him, boom. Gets him low, rocks him with a left hook, right hook on the way down, puts that dude out cold. I told you guys this earlier, like, Fedor's still got power in his hands, and he's still going to throw him. And he's fast. That's one of the craziest things, is that he's still super fast. As old as he is, he's still fast, and that, I would say, is the greatest thing about him. And what makes him a threat is because he's still fast. Typically, the older you get, the slower you become. I don't feel like he's lost any speed. He still goes out there and throws lightning. That's why he was able to hit this dude with that 3-piece. Put him to sleep. Tim Johnson must have been hungry because he ate all them punches. But got another one here for you. So and this one was weird. I had to watch it a couple times, only because he weirded me out. So, Pudzian from KSW does a knockout of a guy named Bombardier, and correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm mispronouncing his name. What threw me off is because they allow sponsors in this organization, which is fine. I have no problem with sponsors. What I find really weird is that he had like a sponsor like taped, or like maybe it was painted on his chest and on his back. So I couldn't tell if it was a tattoo. After I watched it a couple times, I come to find out that it's a fucking sponsor, and that's one thing. That's one of the reasons why the UFC went away from it, because people were getting sponsors shaved into their hair and shit. So I get it. It doesn't look professional. Don't put it on your body, dude. Just get them on your shorts. It's fine. But he's slow, throws a kick underneath. The guy comes in and he hits him with a crazy straight, and honestly, he puts this dude out cold. Low kick, some punches that barely graze, and then as he rushes in, hits him with the right straight, and the dude just goes out cold, leaning up against the fence, one for the fence. His head would have hit the ground a few times, and I hope the guy's okay, but that dude went to sleep. Must have been tired. It must have been bedtime because he went night. Man, do I enjoy a good knockout. But those are the two knockouts of the week. So upcoming this next weekend, we got UFC 267. This fight card is stacked. I'm only going to mention a few fights here. The whole card is on point, but I got to talk about a couple of them here. So the main event, we got Jan Blachowicz versus Glover Teixeira. Glover, he's in his 40s, man. He's in his 40s. This is his last hurrah. Had a few good wins here at the end, and he has a chance to win the title. One thing that I think is a problem with him is he's just not as fast as he used to be. He's really technical, and he's still got power, but he's not as fast. Jan is still young. Jan still got power. Jan still got speed. I think in the end, Jan's going to go ahead and get that victory. I don't want to see it happen because I like Glover, but I kind of see Jan knocking him out. Very similar to the way I would say Gustafsson did when he knocked out his tooth. For Glover's sake, I hope it doesn't happen, but it's going to be a banger regardless. It's going to be fun to watch. Co-main event, Peter Yan versus Corey Sandhagen. What's crazy here is, so Aljamain Sterling had to pull out of the fight for some injury, some neck, spinal injury of some kind. And Peter Yan was going to fight for the title. So they're just going to do a vacant, they're going to do a vacant title. They're not going to call it a vacant title. They're going to call it a interim title at 135. Corey Sandhagen come off a loss, gets beat in a very close, honestly, fight of the year candidate when he fought TJ Dillashaw. And I think it's great. I think it's good that the Sandman's coming in and he's going to be able to fight for the title. The only reason why he's doing it and not TJ is because TJ, when he fought, he ended up tearing like a PCL or something in his knee. Fucked up his knee a little bit. So he's not able to fight right now. So he's like, yeah, go ahead and let somebody else fight for the title. I'll fight for the title when I get back healthy and whatnot. So it's going to be a good fight. Corey's friggin' tough, really tough. But Peter Yan has got skill, speed. He's elusive. He uses those leg kicks really well. Corey's long. Corey can stay on the outside. He might win, but if I was a betting man, I'd put my money on Peter Yan. Peter Yan, however you say it. He's Russian, so you say it a little weird, but that's all right. And then you got my boy Dan the Hangman Hooker. Man, I'm not even sure that he even went home. He probably just stayed here in the U.S. I know he was planning on trying to get his family out here, try to get his whole team out here because honestly, they've been kind of messing up over there in New Zealand with the lockdowns, kind of screwed everything up, and it was hard for him to even get over here to begin with. And he wasn't able to do like a whole training camp over there, so I think he's just been here in the States training, and he's going to be fighting a beast of a wrestler in Islam Makhachev. This is one of the most intriguing fights, really, because Dan is tough as nails, the toughest guy out there. And he's got hands, he's got technique, he's got ability to dominate. Got pretty good takedown defense, but that's the thing, is that Islam is a monster. Everybody at AKAs talks about it. All the big dudes. You get DC talks about it, and DC's a big guy. Islam goes in there and just ragdolls people. So that's the thing. This fight could be either really good or really bad. For Dan. Dan can go out there and keep it on the feet. I think he's going to win. But if he gets taken down and he gets mauled like he possibly could, that is a definite possibility. It's going to be a long night for for the Hangman. This is one I would not put any money on. Not that I'm a betting man to begin with, but this is one that I am most excited about because it's the most intriguing. It's the fight that I really don't know which way it's going to go, and those are the fights that I really like to watch. Other fights that are more kind of predictable, they're fun to watch. Don't get me wrong, I'm going to be watching it because I just love the sport, but it's the ones that surprise me I end up loving the most. And then there's one more fighter I want to talk about that's going to be on this card, and that's Khamzat Chimaev. So this dude hadn't fought in a while. He didn't fight all last year. He got COVID real bad and had some lingering effects. His lungs were kind of messed up from the pneumonia and whatnot, so he couldn't train like pretty much the majority of last year. So we're really going to have to wait and see how his cardio is, how much in shape fight is he? Is he really in shape or not? He's going to be fighting Jingling Lang, which is going to be fun because Jingling always goes in there and throws hands. Got the biggest head in the world, so he's got an easy punching target, but he's always a fun fighter. And honestly, most of those Chinese, Korean fighters are always fun to watch. They're always really, really fun. So I'm not mad at it. It's going to be a fun fight. It's just really intriguing to see if Chimaev is going to be back to his form or if he's going to be kind of a tired shell of himself. Going to have to wait and find out. I'm anticipating that he's going to go out there and dominate, but that's just me having high hopes. We'll have to just wait and see how it goes. But man, I appreciate you guys tuning into the show. It's been a long time coming, trying to get the studio up and running and everything. But we're here. We're going to be with you every Monday. You can find it Monday night. You can watch it Tuesday, the next day if you're that type of person. But we'll be here each and every week, so continue to tune in. You can find us online on Instagram and obviously here on the tube. So make sure to subscribe. Hit that notification bell. Got to hit that bell in order to get the notifications. Otherwise, the subscription really doesn't do anything because you won't be notified that that videos are up so you can watch them. So make sure to hit the bell. But I appreciate you guys tuning in. This has been another episode of the Average Joe MMA Show.